It's moving. It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Gotcha. Howdy, welcome to Hang the Critic with Josh Ball. I'm Josh Ball, and this is Hang the Critic. It's Halloween! Well, it is in a couple of days, but, you know, my videos come out on Wednesday, so that's how it is. I want to take this opportunity to run a film theory that I've developed by you. I'd say, generally, there are two predominant types of horror movies. There is the horror movie about an invasive supernatural force, a supernatural threat, and the other kind of horror movie is almost the exact opposite. The threat comes from human nature, from human beings themselves. The horror that human beings can achieve. And my theory is that these two kinds of horror movies come from two of the first and most popular horror stories in film history. Dracula by Bram Stoker and Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. There have been Dracula and Frankenstein films since way back in the silent era. And they were one of the first sound movies that were released, the 1931 Universal version of Dracula and of Frankenstein.
Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
I think that's where those ideas come from, because Dracula is very much the supernatural force, the stock character of the evil villain because it's evil. Gets away with the excuse of it's supernatural. It's a thing of evil. It's a satanic thing, which is something that has changed over time. As many people would say, including the great Guillermo del Toro, one of my favorite filmmakers, good monsters are always representative of something. They're always metaphors for something. And the best monsters are metaphors for some part of human nature that must be overcome. A lot of old myths and legends about heroes who defeat legendary monsters are about that.
I have already died, and I never reap. Why?
And then on the other hand, you've got Frankenstein, which is very much a story about science and how much control over nature is too much when it comes to human beings, and the responsibility that we have to take before we act. These are things that have carried on throughout film history. When you go with the supernatural angle, naturally you've got things like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, you know, all those stories that And again, most of the time in those stories, the monster is reflective of some aspect of human nature. Pennywise, the dancing clown, is a very clear analogy for anger, hatred, and people who prey on children. Then you've got Frankenstein. A clear example would be Jurassic Park, science going too far. Or even things like The Silence of the Lambs, where the horror comes from the concept of human beings that are capable of monstrous behavior. When it's something like Dracula, the horror comes from how inhuman the threat is. Whereas when it's something like Frankenstein, the horror comes from how human the threat is.
It's alive.
And then you've got a separate strain of horror, which is when the horror comes from nature, you know, the actual nature. So, like Jaws and all those other movies about animals that attack people. I'm not sure where that comes from. King Kong, I suppose. That's my theory. I hope it appeals to you. I hope you have a good Halloween. Watch a lot of horror movies. Switch off the lights. Get a nice and spooky atmosphere. I know that's what I'll be doing. I love horror movies. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think of my theory, if you agree with it, if you disagree with it, if you've got sub-theories or alternate theories, lay them on me, and let's get a discussion going. How about that? Keep watching movies, and I'll see you when I see you.
That's it, is it? Spot on, Chris. Well, this theory of yours certainly seems to have hit the nail on the head. Thank you, Chris.